Hello everyone, welcome to Visit Malta channel. In this video, I am going to talk about current quarantine rules in Malta as on 18th March 2022. Okay, and also I'm going to talk about where to verify if your vaccine is accepted by Malta, and also what is DPLF form and why it is required by Malta, not only by Malta, throughout the EU. Okay, and also I'm going to talk about travel authorization and alternate quarantine location request. Okay, if it is required for you if you're traveling from the red zone country and dark red zone country. So I'm going to explain and talk about in very detail for all about these topics. Okay. All right. This is Malta Health Department website. As you can see, health.gov.mt, and the actual URL is deputyprimeminister.gov.mt. Okay, and whenever you travel to Malta, you can always verify all the detail of quarantine restrictions and rules. Okay, and now this information is as on 18th March 2022, and my recommendation is to whenever you travel to Malta, please verify this page frequently if any present rules and regulation that has been implemented in Malta, as this page is keep getting updated by Malta Health Department. Okay, so now I'm going to share this URL also in my video description, which you can save it for your reference before you travel to Malta. Okay. Now let me show you what all the important information that you have to make sure 100% before you travel to Malta to avoid the 14 days quarantine when you reach in Malta. Otherwise, you will be unnecessarily having a 14 days quarantine in Malta that has been provided by the health department. Okay, the 14 days quarantine you have to pay 100 euro per night. Okay, as explained in this health department page. Okay, so almost 1,400 euro you have to be pay for 14 days quarantine, and during the 14 days quarantine you might have to pay 120 euro for every time if they take the PCR test also. Okay, so please make sure that you compliant with all the rules and regulation that is being given by the Malta Health Department before you travel to Malta. So let me explain. So let me explain how you can check and what are all the things that you have to make sure before you travel to Malta. First, the health department was divided a country category into two categories like other countries. Okay, one is the red zone countries and dark red zone countries, as many of them already aware of it. Okay, so first thing that you have to do is just check if your country in which list is your country is fall under a red zone country or a dark red zone country, because a red zone country has a separate rules and regulations, and dark red zone countries has separate rules and regulations. Okay, and this is the red zone country list, which you can check if your country is listed here or not. Okay, and also if you're coming from the red zone countries, you might have to fill the DBLF form. Okay, even from the dark red zone country, you have to fill the DBLF form, which I'm going to explain in very detail. Before that, please subscribe my channel and share my video, and if you have any clarification, you can always reach me out at visittomalta@gmail.com. Because okay, in my upcoming video, I might explain how to fill the DBLF form in very detail. In fact, in this video, I'm going to show where you can access the DBLF form detail, right? And also, I'm going to talk about if your vaccine is valid vaccine or not. Okay. Now, my recommendation in this page is to please read everything. Okay, and I'm going to cover very important steps only. Okay. Now, Malta is accepted only specific vaccines. Okay, as you can see, the vaccines are Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson, and Moderna, and AstraZeneca, and Novavax is the company. And the vaccine name is actually you can check it out here as Janssen and Spikevax and Vaxzevria. Okay, these are all the vaccine that is being accepted by Malta. Okay, which means if you take any of this vaccine, you are not required to take a negative PCR test. Also, you are not required to be 14 days mandatory quarantine if you are taking the vaccines that is being listed approved by the Malta government. Okay. Apart from this vaccine, if you are taking any other vaccines that is being approved by EMEA and WHO emergency use listings, let me show you. This is the WHO list. Okay, for example, you can find any vaccines that has been listed in WHO. I mean, I mean, your country vaccine is accepted by WHO. Okay, in this list, just find it. Okay. Also, there is another list which you can find your vaccine or company detail here. For example, I'm just finding the Pfizer. It is updated here. Okay. So in this two portal also you can use and find if your vaccine is listed in this two approved European Medicine Agency, also in WHO organization. Okay. So apart from this list, if your vaccine is listed in the EMEA approved list and or in the WHO list, you are still allowed to travel in Malta. The only difference is you have to take a negative PCR test, okay, along with your vaccine certificate, and still you're not required to be in a 14 days quarantine. Okay, so let me explain in very simple. If you holding any of this vaccine that is being approved by Malta, you are not required to be in quarantine. Also, you are not required to have a negative PCR test. But apart from this list, if you have holding any other vaccine certificate that is been approved by WHO, another organization here, the EU organization, approved EU organization, you have to take a negative PCR test. That is the only difference. Okay, and you still have to fill the DBLF form, which I'm going to explain in very detail in this video. Okay, and you don't have to be quarantined 14 days quarantine. All right, and you can find the link of EUL here as mentioned in this health department. All this link that I have showed in this video, I'll be shared in the description, which you can save it. And all this link that I have taken from this page only. So it is not the link that I have googled and showing here. Okay, so all the link I have took it from this web page only that has been given by the health department. Okay. Now, let me show you the very important information that you have to make sure before you travel to Malta. And this is the dark red zone country. So please check if your country is listed under the red or the red zone country. Okay. Now, let me show you the actual important diagram that has been explained very clearly for the travel rules and regulations. Okay, now this is very small, so let me zoom the images to look more properly. All right, hope this is much clear. Let me explain. If you are traveling from red zone country, okay, let me explain this stage. Okay, if you're traveling from red zone country or you are staying 14 days in the red zone country and holding a valid recognized certificate that has been approved by Malta, and even the valid recognized certificate that has been approved by WHO, the organization, and other EU region, EMEA. Okay, and if you find your vaccine certificate listed under those list, you are not required to quarantine, but you still have to fill the DBLF form as mentioned here. Okay, so it is very simple. If you're holding a valid vaccine certificate that has been approved by Malta or approved by WHO or approved by EMEA region, okay, as it's mentioned by EMEA approved vaccines, okay, EMEA region, you are free to reach here in Malta by filling just a DBLF form, and you're not required to quarantine. Okay. And if you don't have any vaccine certificate and your vaccine certificate is not recognized, here it says not in the possession of recognized vaccine certificate, you are still allowed to travel in Malta, but you have to have a negative PCR test, and also you have to complete the DBLF form and 14 days mandatory quarantine that is been arranged by health department with the paid option, which you have to take a mandatory quarantine by paying 100 euro per day, which means you will have to pay 1400 euro for 14 days quarantine, as I mentioned earlier. Also, 120 euro for the negative PCR test that is been taken during your 14 days quarantine. Okay, and if you're Malta residents already, but you don't have a vaccine certificate, I mean the recognized vaccine certificate, you can actually apply a self quarantine request, okay, to the authorized health department prior to travel. Let me show you where you can send your authorized for a self quarantine. Okay, here this is the portal that you can request for a self quarantine alternate quarantine location request using this portal by starting this application. In my upcoming video, I'm going to explain in very detail how you can apply the alternate quarantine location request using this portal. Okay, and this portal also used to travel authorization for the dark red zone country travelers. Okay, which I'm going to explain. So this portal was used for two different reasons. One is for alternate quarantine locations, and another one is for the travel request also, travel authorizations also. Okay, so let me come back to the chart, the diagram. Hope it's very clear. If you're traveling from the red zone country, it's very simple and clear. Okay, now let's go to the dark red zone list. Okay, if you're traveling from the dark red zone country, but you are reaching into the red zone country and staying for 14 days. Okay, remember you have to be staying in 14 days country. I mean, if you are staying 14 days in the red zone country, you will be treated, you are traveling from the red zone country. Okay, so if you are traveling from dark red zone country, but directly you are trying to reach in Malta, instead of going into the different red zone country and staying there, if you are directly trying to reach here in Malta, your travel is banned and you have to get the travel authorization before you proceed your travel. Okay, so this is what I mentioned few minutes back. You have to apply a travel authorization first. Okay, only if it is granted you are allowed to travel here in Malta. Okay, so this is the same portal that you have to send a travel authorization request to the health department Malta. Once they approved, only you are allowed to travel here in Malta, and of course you still have to fill the complete the DPLF form, as I mentioned in the few minutes back. This is the DPLF form that you have to fill. Okay, and if you have a valid recognized certificate and traveling from the dark red zone country with the travel authorization approval permission, you are allowed to be quarantined only in 7 days. Okay, but still this 7 days mandatory quarantine that has been arranged by the Malta Health Department, and of course it is a paid service which you have to pay 100 euro per day, which will be 700 euro per day. All right, and 120 euro to take a negative PCR test, which you have to pay also. Okay, if you are holding a valid recognized vaccine certificate and traveling from the dark red zone country. Okay, but still you have an option. If you're already a resident in Malta and gone to the dark red zone country and coming back, you have to again take as usual method like a travel authorization, and you can request a alternate quarantine request using the same portal. Okay, as I said earlier, same portal you can request alternate travel, I mean, alternate quarantine, self quarantine, own quarantine. You can call it self quarantine, own quarantine request also by providing the address and all of the details using that portal. Okay. Now, if you don't have a valid vaccine recognized, valid recognized certificate, you have to be in 14 days quarantine, full of 14 days quarantine by paying 1400 euro and 120 euro for the vaccine test. Okay, so that is the only difference for the dark red zone country if you are traveling, okay, to Malta. So this is the very important information that you have to make sure. If you notice, in very common for all the travels, you have to fill the DPLF forms. Okay, the only difference if you holding the valid recognition certificate or not valid recognized certificate only, making a difference. Okay, also from the red zone country and dark red zone country. Okay, so apart from that, in this page, as I mentioned, this is very important page that you have to keep checking if any other recent update that has been updated by the Malta Health Department. Okay. After this diagram, if you scroll down here, you can see the vaccine certificate will only be accepted as a valid if included in the list of approved vaccine certificate. You can check this list also. Okay, and this is where the link that I have got it from this portal. Okay, so you can check the EMA list, and if you took the Malta vaccine certificate, I mean Malta vaccines, you can download the certificate from the Malta government portal. Okay, and check all other detail by taking your own time. And they have given the recognized vaccine certificate that has been include all the information, all the country list here. Okay, you can check completely here in this list. Okay, and apart from that, there is one more useful information that they have mentioned. You can use the Verifly app. Okay, that is available on Google Play Store and even the Apple App Store also. Okay, so using this app, you can actually upload your vaccine certificate and the travel informations. Okay, travel information, which they will verify your information and give you generate the code which is useful before you boarding your flight from your respective country, just to avoid unnecessary time. Also, you can come to know if you have all the necessary document that is being required by Malta even for the respective country. Okay, so this app is very useful. Maybe in my upcoming video I will explain how to use this app by uploading the information and all other things. Okay, and it is not mandatory, it is just a recommendation that is being given by the Malta Health Department. So it is not mandatory that you have to use this app and all. So it is, if you're okay with that, you can use this app just to verify and make sure you have all the information perfectly before you boarding to the from your respective country. Okay, the very mandatory information is that you have to check if you're traveling from red zone country or dark red zone country, and you're holding a vaccine certificate, and if it is and if your certificate is approved or not approved. If it is approved, what is the rules, and if it is not approved, what is the rules. Okay, so that is the main thing that you can check it out. If you have any clarification, you can always reach me out at visittomalta@gmail.com, and you can talk to our professionals by through the WhatsApp using our WhatsApp link. If you access in our website visittomalta.com, we'll provide the WhatsApp link. Okay, for the paid membership. All right. And thank you so much for this watching this video. Please share this video and comment this video and like this video. Good luck.